This is Cyber Brief. If you care about what's getting broken on the internet, this is your weekly top 5. All 5 of this week's CVEs score in the critical severity range. This is the Apple and Google edition. On the list this week, Apple and Google. Week of July 6 to 12, 2026. Starting at number 5. Number 5. A crafted web page can trigger arbitrary code execution inside Google Chrome. No download or extra click required. Chrome's Web App Installs component is the part of the browser that handles installing web applications. Think of it as the doorway for turning websites into app-like experiences on your device. The flaw here is a failure to properly validate untrusted input. Data coming in from the web isn't checked carefully enough before the browser acts on it. An attacker who controls a specially crafted HTML page could exploit that gap to run arbitrary code inside Chrome's sandbox. That means an attacker could potentially execute instructions within the browser environment simply by getting someone to visit the right page. The sandbox is a protective layer designed to keep browser activity isolated from the rest of your system. While this flaw is described as execution inside that sandbox, gaining a foothold there is typically the first step toward deeper access. The attack surface is the open web itself. Any page load is a potential trigger. No active exploitation is stated in the available facts. Because the attack vector isn't fully specified in the available information, the precise delivery path is unclear. The description confirms a crafted HTML page is the trigger, meaning a crafted HTML page serves as the trigger, though the precise delivery mechanism is not fully specified in available information. This class of flaw places anyone running an unpatched version of Chrome at potential risk whenever they visit an attacker-controlled page. With no additional interaction needed beyond that visit, anyone using Google's products should apply the latest security update to stay protected. Up next. Number 4. A WordPress appointment plugin has a critical file upload flaw that could let outsiders plant executable code directly on a site's server. Instant Appointment is a WordPress plugin that handles scheduling and booking on websites. The plugin includes a function responsible for uploading images as attachments. According to the advisory, it performs no validation whatsoever on the type of file being submitted. That means someone could send a malicious file, a script, a program, anything. The server would accept and store it as if it were a normal image. Once that file is sitting on the server, an attacker may be able to trigger it and run their own code in that server environment. What makes this especially serious is that no login is required. An outsider with no account and no prior relationship with the site can attempt this entirely on their own. That combination, no authentication, no file restrictions, and potential code execution, is why this scores at the highest severity level. No active exploitation is stated in the available facts. Because attack vector details are not specified in the available facts, the precise exposure path can't be fully characterized. This class of flaw typically affects any site where the plugin is publicly reachable. If successfully exploited, an unauthenticated attacker could potentially run code on the underlying server, giving them a foothold that may extend well beyond the website itself. Anyone using the vendor's products should apply the latest security update to stay protected. Halfway there? Number 3. A file upload flaw in a popular WordPress plugin lets anyone drop executable code onto your website, no login required. The Bloxy Companion Pro plugin for WordPress includes an advanced reviews feature that handles file attachments. That feature exposes a function called Save Attachments, which is supposed to block dangerous file types by checking the file's extension. The check, however, only looks for a substring match, so a file named something like shell.f22thp passes inspection. The check sees a font extension somewhere in the name. The web server then sees the .php and runs the file as code. Because no login is required to trigger this, an attacker can reach the vulnerable function from anywhere on the internet, upload a malicious file, instruct the server to execute it, gaining the ability to run arbitrary commands on the hosting environment. That means potential access to the site's database, content, stored credentials, and the ability to plant persistent backdoors. No active exploitation is stated in the available facts. Because the vulnerable endpoint requires no authentication and is reachable over the web, any organization or individual running a WordPress site with this plugin installed and publicly accessible could be exposed. If exploited, this class of flaw typically allows an attacker to take full control of the web server process, reading, modifying, or deleting site content, and pivoting deeper into the hosting environment. Anyone using the vendor's products should apply the latest security update to stay protected. Almost at the top. Number 2. A WordPress form plugin can be tricked into deleting its own site configuration, with no login required, potentially handing attackers full control of the server. The simple coherent form plugin handles file uploads for WordPress websites. The flaw lives in the part of the plugin responsible for removing uploaded files. Without logging in at all, an attacker can ask the plugin for a special permission token. The plugin hands it over freely to anyone who asks. A second safety check exists, but it's built on a secret code that's hard-coded directly into the plugin's source files, meaning anyone who downloads the plugin can calculate a valid bypass offline. With both controls defeated, an attacker can instruct the server to delete any file it can reach. The critical scenario, according to the advisory, is deleting WordPress's core configuration file. When that file disappears, WordPress enters a setup mode, and at that point, an attacker could seize administrative control and run code directly on the server. No active exploitation is stated in the available facts. Because the attack requires no login and no interaction from a legitimate user, any organization running an internet-facing WordPress site with this plugin installed could be exposed. If exploited, this class of flaw could allow an attacker to escalate from simple file deletion to full remote code execution on the underlying server. Anyone using the vendor's products should apply the latest security update to stay protected. And the top spot this week? Number 1. A flaw in Apple's iPhone, iPad, and Mac operating systems could let an app corrupt the kernel, the most protected layer of the device. The kernel is the core of any operating system. It controls every resource on the device, from memory to hardware access. Apple identified an input validation problem in iOS, iPadOS, macOS, meaning the system was not properly checking data before acting on it. An app running on the device could exploit this flaw to either crash the system entirely or, more seriously, corrupt kernel memory. Corrupting kernel memory is significant because the kernel operates with the highest level of trust on any device. If an app can reach and damage that layer, it may be able to break the boundaries that normally keep apps isolated from each other and from the operating system itself, potentially enabling deeper control over the device. No active exploitation is stated in the available facts, because the attack originates from an app already installed on the device. Anyone running an affected iPhone, iPad, Mac who installs a malicious application could be exposed. This class of flaw, corrupting the kernel from an unprivileged app, could, if exploited, allow an attacker to destabilize or manipulate the operating system at its foundation. Anyone using Apple's products should apply the latest security update to stay protected. That's the top 5 for this week. Whether you're here to triage your patching queue or just to stay sharp on the evolving threat landscape, if this brief added value, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm push this content to more people who care about security. Drop a comment if there's a CVE we should have covered, or one you've already seen in the wild. That's how we build a better watch list together. New Cyber Brief Shorts drop every weekday, and the new Top 5 lands every Thursday afternoon. Until next week. Cyber threats don't wait, neither should you. Subscribe.